So a couple of days ago, I uploaded a video concerning ICT immediate rebalance. That is a very good signature that I think people don't know that, and nor did I know. But since starting the ICT 2023 mentorship, my eyes have been opened, and I'm almost at the end of the ICT 2023 mentorship, so I've made a lot of good progress here. But another thing that I catched from the 2023 mentorship was something called ICT implied fair value gap. So this is something to do with the immediate rebalance, especially, and that's basically with something to do with the fact that we are not actually getting a gap, but we are treating wicks as gaps, and so the area between the wicks and the body in the middle kind of forms like a fair value gap. So I will show you what I mean. So on the XY we have a good example of this. So if you are familiar with the concept of immediate rebalance, or you watched my previous video about it, you would know that it's basically the three candle formation 1, 2, 3, where you do not get the fair value gap with these candles. Instead, the wicks do meet, and when the wicks meet with that kind of bulky candle in the middle, like obviously, usually with like absolutely normal candle doesn't usually print this kind of large wick, which then after this large volume, we usually get some type of fair value gap in this kind of region. As you can see, the fair value gap would look something like this. But this has to do something with immediate rebalance in terms of the fact that we don't have the actual gap there. We actually have the wicks meeting, and the implied fair value gap is basically, it just works similarly as fair value gap, because we know that wicks are referred as gaps by algorithm. So what do you want to do is, we want to measure the equilibrium or consequent encroachment of each wick. So for example, right now we are looking at this candle, and this candle. This is the formation. These three candles form the formation. Like similarly as with fair value gaps, we also need three candle formation with this implied fair value gap. So then you have the bulky candle in the middle, and you have two candle wicks meeting each other on the both sides of it. So you measure the wicks, consequent encroachment of both of the wicks, exactly like this. We would let's just make it a little bit bulky so you can see it nicer. So basically, C of both of those areas, and this should work similarly as a fair value gap would work. So you can even draw like an actual box in here as if this was fair value gap, like a normal fair value gap. We extend it, and this kind of area works as like a normal support and resistance idea as ICT teaches his PDRAs working. So looks pretty nice, doesn't it? Like implied fair value gap, market trades into it, rejects, trades into it, stalls there, rejects is lower, rejects again, then trades through, uses it as support, as a resistance a couple of times in here, consolidates around here. Then, if you know how you are using fair value gaps, this is another thing that you can use, because this is no different from fair value gap, like normal fair value gap. Now, I don't necessarily like to use these kind of things for my entries. Like, let's say we are this 1 minute time frame, and we got something like this in here, and I wouldn't necessarily like to go necessarily long off of like 1 minute time frame like this, but I like to use these kind of things in high time frame and see how price kind of reacts. For example, 4 hour time frame, we get that kind of implied fair value gap. Okay, in 4 hour time frame, I can then see how price kind of acts in this area, and if we get like lower time frame confirmation higher from here, then maybe I could go long in lower time frames. But these type of things are not taught very like deeply on the internet. I don't see these type of things often, and yeah, only ICT teaches them. And most of the people, if they are trying to teach them, they are getting it wrong. And I'm not saying I'm getting it right, but I'm just trying to give you what I have understood from ICT's videos. So I would recommend you to go watch the 2023 mentorship, and don't just take this at face value from me, because I could be wrong with some stuff. I don't still understand everything fully, but more like there's not as much like me trying to teach you something as I'm trying to more like instill some type of like interested in this subject, and I'm more so trying to recommend you and encourage you to go study from the first-hand source, which is Michael Huddleston, Inner Circle Trader. So, but yeah,